Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. Hooray, hooray, hooray for the Supreme Court that have struck down a requirement that was given in New York City in reference to, what is it called? A proper cause requirement for concealed carry. Essentially what it is that a person has to prove, a law-abiding citizen has to prove why they need to carry a gun outside their home. You heard that right. And when I read about that, that's one of the most stupidest things I've ever heard. But look, we're going to get into this article. I'm going to read from Breitbart News. It's a pretty short article. We're going to get into this article, and then I'm going to give you my detailed commentary on this. But hooray, hooray, hooray for SCOTUS, the Supreme Court. Okay, hooray for these guys. And thank God that someone is sensible. But the article is entitled, Supreme Court Strikes Down New York's Proper Cause Requirement for Concealed Carry. And it says, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled 6-3 on June 23rd that New York's proper cause requirement for concealed carry permit issuance is unconstitutional. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin centered on denials for permits under New York's concealed carry permitting law. The NWSRPA filed suit claiming that one of its members was eligible for a permit but was denied because of New York's requirement that concealed carry applicants, get this now, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, that concealed carry applicants prove why they need to carry a gun. What? The case ultimately dealt with the scope of the Second Amendment, whether the right to keep and bear arms applied only in the home or outside the home as well. When the Supreme Court granted cert in the case, the NWSRPA responded, this case challenges New York's requirement that applicants demonstrate, quote, proper cause to carry a firearm. New York regularly uses this requirement to deny applicants the right to carry a firearm outside of their home. The NRA believes that law-abiding citizens should not be required to prove they are in peril to receive the government's permission to exercise this constitutional protected right. And let me say something real quick about the NRA, or National Rifle Association. Some people will look at it and argue and say, well, of course the NRA is going to be in support of law-abiding citizens having guns because it's based on people buying guns from them and they make a profit off of it. So of course they're going to support that. And of course they're going to donate to the campaigns of those politicians that support their worldview. Okay, that's natural. That could be understood. But of course they're going to do that. Of course the NRA is going to do that. Okay, but it's still unconstitutional for them to say that none of this makes any sense whatsoever for New York to even do this. And what I found out in my studies is that New York, among some other states, New York has some of the strictest gun laws in the country. New York has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, yet at the same time has some of the highest rates of gun violence. So if all these strict gun laws are supposed to prevent gun violence, then why do we have some of the highest levels of gun violence in the country, even though they have some of the strictest gun laws in the country? You see how that doesn't match? See, people don't like to look at facts, man. People don't like to look at facts. They like to look at agendas, okay, and visions and agendas, like Thomas Sowell says. NRA Director Jason Quimmen also commented on the suit, and the Supreme Court agreed to hear it. Under current New York law, a law-abiding resident becomes a felon the moment he or she steps outside their home with their firearm. This is a clear infringement of the Second Amendment. The NRA is grateful that the Supreme Court is tackling this critical issue. We are proud to be a part of this case, and we look forward to a future in which law-abiding Americans everywhere have the fundamental right to self-defense the way the Constitution intended. The immediate impact of the June 23rd ruling is that New York's proper cause requirement is struck down. What is yet to be seen is how this decision will impact other states like California and New Jersey, both of which have concealed carry issuance guidelines similar to New York's proper proper cause requirement, and whether the success of the NWSRPA versus Bruin leads to suits against those states as well. So that's the end of that article right there. But hopefully this will lead to some changes in California, New Jersey, and other far leftist states that have done these that's creating these kind of laws, because these kind of laws, as I said earlier, do not prevent gun violence. They do not prevent gun violence. And they don't prevent gun violence because most of the time, the individuals that are committing these crimes with guns, most of the time, are criminals and nutbags. It's not law-abiding citizens, or it's not sane people. It's usually insane people and criminals. I don't really need to say much else right there except to say hurrah, hurrah, hurrah for the Supreme Court. Let me say something on this, though, that I'm so glad that my governor is a Republican. And I'm glad that he's a Republican because right now, I think I shared this in a previous video, he signed a law into action that states that people now that are 18 and over don't have to be registered to buy a gun. You don't have to be registered to buy a gun. You don't have to go through the concealed carry requirement, which I think is like 8 hours of training and so forth, and go through all of the extensive background checks. So I think you may still have a background check, but I'm not sure. But for the most part, you don't have to be registered. And the big argument has been that everybody's walking around scared. Oh, it's going to be the OK Corral, And the only reason why I believe people are walking around scared thinking that it's going to be the OK Corral, and by the way, incidentally, that law went into effect the 13th of this month, which was my birthday. The only reason why I believe people are going around thinking in the city of Cleveland and other places thinking that it's going to be the OK Corral is because liberal politicians are making them think that way. But so far, I ain't seen people going off and buying guns. Ooh, I'm free to buy guns now. Let me go ahead and buy guns so I can go and start shooting a bunch of people for nothing. We had I'm going to deal with the city of Cleveland. We had high levels of crime and shootings in the city of Cleveland before Governor DeWine signed the law into action. We had it before then. So I still stand on that. I don't think this law is going to change anything. Most people in the city of Cleveland and in most of the states, but I'm dealing with the city of Cleveland in Ohio right now, which is where I reside, already have their firearms. And if they're criminals, they already have firearms. Yeah. Criminals are going to find out how to get their firearms. So signing this bill into law is not going to change anything. I'm pretty sure the level of shootings are not going to go up. And if they do go up, then the question is, why did they go up? Who's actually doing the shooting? If the level of shooting goes up because this new bill has been signed into law, that you don't have to be registered, will it be because criminals are embroidered now to just go ahead and say, or criminal-minded people are just embroidered now to go ahead and say, oh, I can buy a gun now and just go ahead and start shooting people? Or will it be that the shootings will go up because people, law-abiding citizens and sane citizens, will have more freedom to defend themselves against nutbags and criminals? I think it will be the latter, if that be the case. Okay? All right. The question isn't whether or not gun violence goes up. The question is, who's committing the gun violence? Is it people who are committing the gun violence that are criminals that are doing it to try to rob and kill and maim other people? Or is it people who are law-abiding citizens defending themselves with a gun against criminals in their home or outside their home? See, liberals don't like to look at the whole scope of things. They like to look at the stuff that supports their agenda, that supports their vision, like Thomas Sowell often says, the vision of the anointed. Thomas Sowell calls them the vision of the anointed. They have appointed themselves to be the anointed, and that they know more than you know about how to run your own life. It's amazing how we let these people talk this rhetoric to us, man. It's amazing. It makes me want to, it's cringy. It makes me want to vomit. They make me sick every time they open their big fat mouths because I know they're full of lies and trickery and deception. And if it wasn't for me loving God and having the Holy Spirit living and saved, man, I can barely stomach listening to him now. Forget about me being a man of God. I can barely stomach listening to it because I don't like liars. I don't like when people get up there, politicians get up there and lie when I know you lying. when I know you trying to push an agenda. That's why they come again. That's why they don't want to hear facts and data. That's why they edit it or they censor it. They censor it not because it's misinformation. They censor it because it gives another side of the story that gives people options, that wakes people up and say, oh man, I didn't know that. For example, let me say this in the closing of this video. A lot of people, including myself, didn't know that it was the Democratic Party that was the ones in support of slavery. It was the Democratic Party that was the ones that created the KKK. And it was the Democratic Party in the past that was the ones that created the Jim Crow laws. Most people didn't know that. I didn't know it then. But then when I started studying and branching out and thinking outside the box in 2016, I'm like, oh man, I didn't know that. But see, liberals and Democrats, they censor that. They don't want you to know that. So they censor it, not because it's misinformation like they like to always throw. They're the ones throwing the misinformation. It's because it's the truth and they don't want you to know the truth. The devil conceals the truth from you. But Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and you know what I'm going to say, and the truth shall set you free. And you shall know the truth when it comes to these guns as law-abiding citizens, and the truth will set you free. So hopefully these other states like California and New Jersey will say, okay, let's start following suit with what New York did. And hopefully they'll get rid of these dumb laws that are designed basically, that are created by far leftist liberals and progressives, basically to take weapons from you to make you a slave to them. They want to be God in your life. That's what they really believe. They believe, progressive Democrats believe, that they are so much more intelligent than you and I, to the point where you cannot run your own life. I'm not making this up. I've been studying this and listening to the way they talk, and that's how they talk. They talk condescendingly to you and I because that's what they believe. They believe that they're part of the elite. They're too intelligent. You're not intelligent enough to run your own life. But come 2022, we're going to find out. So what do you guys think about this? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to this video. God bless you all, and see you again on another Black Conservative.